How's it going? I'm Anthony, and these are stories of my life. For those of you just joining us for the first time, these videos are a cognitive therapy tool for me. I've taken some head injuries over the years, and my memory is failing, and the doctors have suggested I make these videos to preserve the memories I have, as well as hopefully inspire some of you all to provide me with details I may have forgotten or remind me of events I've just completely lost altogether. So, in which case then I can, you know, either remake an old video with the new details or make a new video with the forgotten event. So I'm sure you get the idea. At any rate, building off of the last video, this would be 1990. I'd be 12 years old, going into the 8th grade. And so what had happened was we had been on the street. My mom had gotten an apartment downtown Riverside. That's all covered in the last video. My dad got an apartment, which was better than my mom. So now my mom was worried about potentially losing custody of me and an income stream, obviously. And so she ended up upgrading to a double wide mobile home at a 55 plus mobile home park in Grand Terrace. And this was in Ritchie Canyon, off of Ritchie Canyon Road. Now, the park itself wasn't bad. It was a nice park. You know, I can't say anything bad about it. It was clean, well kept, well maintained. The mobile home was nice, big, spacious, double wide type of deal. And it was right across from the community pool. So I was at the community pool a lot. I was swimming a lot. And the other thing I'd do is I'd hop on my bike and I'd ride my bike around the park a lot. I knew that park like the back of my hand. Or I'd be walking my dog. I still had the Pekingese Dexter. And that was really it. It was all I had to do when I moved there because I didn't know anyone. School hadn't started yet. I hadn't gotten to know anybody yet. And eventually I would get to the point where I was really bored out of my mind. And I would hop on my bike and I would go out onto the canyon. And there was this little store that was right there. It was called the Hitchin Post. And I'd go there a lot. They would get candy or sodas, or they had some great beef jerky, so I'd get the beef jerky there. But then I'd keep riding, and start heading that direction and go towards the mouth of the canyon where it started. And my mom would have been pissed if she had found out I ever rode that far that direction, because it was a long way. Then the other thing I did was I would turn around and I would go the other direction as far as I could. Now, I don't think I ever made it to the end of the canyon because this canyon goes a really long way. I usually ended up making this right-hand turn way down the canyon, and the canyon would go up to, it would end up coming down somewhere in Moreno Valley. I don't know if you're familiar with how that works. But yeah, I would end up coming down in Moreno Valley. But yeah, that's how far I would go. So my mother would have flipped her lid if she ever knew. But anyway, the story for this video is that first summer I was out exploring. And the canyon, it's not real well developed. So still a lot of open space, not a lot of houses yet, sporadic houses here and there. But across the street from the mobile home park, you could see that a housing development was going in. So there was a lot of graded, leveled plots where houses were supposed to go. And since it was in a canyon, it was kind of going up the side of this hill. So it was like, if you're looking at it from the road, there's a slope, graded plot, slope, graded plot, slope, graded plot. And there's dirt roads that had been, carved out of the ground that would go clear back into the canyon and whatever else for set up this housing tract. And I would go screw around out there and didn't think anything of it. And I'd go a lot farther again than I probably should have. But so one time I was out there, out in the middle of the desert, and I don't know what I was doing or what the deal was, but I ended up noticing a coyote. And it was just kind of watching me from a distance. I didn't think anything of it. I'd kind of run around here or there, but didn't think much of it at the time. Kept doing whatever I was doing, walking around. And then eventually I saw another one. So there's two. Okay, that's weird, but they kept their distance, so it was not a big deal. And then eventually I saw a third. And then a fourth. And then a fifth. And there might have even been a sixth one, but I know there was at least 5. And they're all watching me. And they had a really wide berth around me, so it wasn't that big of a deal, but I noticed they all still slowly started spreading around in kind of a circle around me. And eventually that circle slowly started tightening up. And I was like, oh, crap. Here we go. So I picked up a stick. I found a good-sized stick. Not that it was going to help me much, but once I realized that I was in a bad situation, I started walking back in the direction I felt I needed to go. Because I had a plan, and I'll explain that to you in a second. And once they got to a point where they started moving a little bit quicker, that's when I started running. And then they started chasing me. And I ran for that housing tract. And they were right up on my butt. Like I could feel them nipping at my legs, nipping at my hamstrings. I don't remember if any of them tried to jump on my back to take me down. I want to say that I can remember something like that, but it's not vivid. So anyway, I got to the point where I was running, with everything I had running. I think I was swinging the stick here and there. Something got close. And I remember getting to one of those little graded housing plots. And I ran to it. And I had all these things behind me. And then I got to the edge of it. And I just jumped. It was like something out of a superhero movie where I just jumped. And you're like, ah. And I'm falling because there's that downgrade to the next plot. Well, I fall and I hit, and I knew the terrain pretty well. And I think it had even rained like the day prior. Maybe the ground was still kind of soft, so when I hit, my feet sunk in, it absorbed the impact, and then I ended up tumbling. And then I got to the next plot, and of course the coyotes were pissed. They didn't want to try to run down that slope, so they ended up having to go and circle around to try to catch me at the next one. Well, by the time they got to the next plot, I was already on my way to the edge of it and jumped again. And hit and roll, and we kept doing this thing where they would keep trying to get to me, but I kept doing the same thing, just running and jump and whatever else. Finally, we get to the last one, and I didn't realize it was the last one, but it was the last one, and I run and I jump, and this had the biggest slope of all, and I end up hitting, and I'm tumbling, all of a sudden, splat, and I'm laid out next to the Ritchie Canyon Road, just lying there like, oh crap. And I ended up rolling over onto my side, and I look up and I could see the coyotes looking down at me like, you freaking asshole, but they didn't want to come near the road. And so I was good at that point. I just kind of jumped up and dusted myself off and kind of laughed about it, and I think I even said bye to the coyotes, and crossed the road and went back to the park and did whatever I did. I wasn't really scared. There might have been some measure of fear in me. I gotta imagine there was, but I can't remember being really scared. But I just didn't want to end up with something's lunch. Is really what it came down to. If you're gonna check out, there's a lot of ways to check out. Last thing I can imagine is being eaten alive by coyotes. That probably wouldn't be a good time. So I think that's why I was running so fast. Anyway, simple story, not very long one today, but hope you enjoyed it. That was my intro to the mobile home park in that area. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you've got any memories of me in that time frame, please leave them in the comments or hit me up privately, and I'd love to hear what I might have forgotten. And if I reminded you of anything, let me know. Have a good one.